So one of my best sales on eBay, $2,300, one of my top 5 sales ever on eBay. Woke up a week later to an email from eBay saying the US government has confiscated your package. Let's talk about it. What's up, guys? Kyle here, Thrift Boss channel here on YouTube. Appreciate you coming, hanging out, having a chat here at the utter depths of the entire internet. So this sale that I want to talk about, $2,300, one of my top 5, possibly top 3 sales, I'm not exactly sure, ever on the platform. Before I get into how I acquired the item, how it sold, all the things that went wrong, I want to hear from you guys because this is how I continue to learn, as well as hearing from you guys and your stories. So let me know, however you buy and sell, whether it's eBay, Amazon, what have you. Let me know, what are some of your best sales or your very best sale? So $2,300. I'll put it up on the screen here. This Lord of the Rings Iron Studios statue. So this Iron Studios, they make really, really high-end models and figures. You know, on the low end, you're talking multiple hundreds of dollars, and then on the higher end, you're talking, I'm guessing, like 5-figure type things. I don't think they have like any 6-figure. I could be wrong. Lord of the Rings happens to be one of my favorite pieces of entertainment in the world, ever in the history. I have Elvish tattoo here. I have some symbolism on my arms, and I also have Frodo right here inside of my heart. This particular statue I got from a friend. I have a friend named Steve. Go me, I have a friend. He used to own a thrift store. He would acquire a lot, you know, like lost cargo and unclaimed cargo pallets. He used to do that as well, but to a massive scale. A lot of different stuff came through his door, a lot of unique and interesting items. This happened to be one of them. So we made a deal that I would trade him a certain number of pallets for this particular item, which I intended to keep. And it was super expensive. You can see I sold it for $2,300 because I needed the money. I needed the money. I shouldn't say I needed the money, but I wanted the money because it's just something that I wouldn't buy on my own. I wouldn't pay that much money. I would never go out and spend that kind of money on something like that. I probably had it for like 6 months or so, where I just kept, every time I would go into the shed, which is where I keep the stuff that I bring to the flea markets, it'd be sitting there, and it's just I'd constantly be moving it around the shed because of the size of the box and the space that I needed to store stuff into the flea market. So I was seeing it often, and I don't know, something clicked where I was just like, you know what, I think the money will be worth more than my love for this and trying to figure out a space for it. Also because I'm moving towards like a minimalistic type of lifestyle. I don't want to keep collecting stuff, especially, I don't know if you guys can appreciate this, but buying all and selling all this stuff, especially the avenue that I do, where the majority of my sourcing now is through these unclaimed liquidation, lost mail type pallets. And I get in a given week, I mean, I'm getting thousands of items. It's possible, like on the heavier load weeks, I'm getting tens of thousands of items. I just get so much stuff that I became so numb or detached to all this consumer crap. So that's why I've been moving more towards this minimalistic, because I'm always surrounded by stuff. That's why it kind of led me to, I'm just going to try to sell this thing. It wasn't super popular on eBay, but there were a few listed. So I was the only US based seller at the time. Or somebody sent me an offer actually from Spain. So we went back and forth a little bit before we finally agreed on this $2,300 price tag. And that's just what he paid me. I don't even know what he had to deal with, like overseas tariffs or taxes. I don't know how much, but I'm assuming this guy paid well over $3,000 for this thing. It was a ridiculously large box that I basically had to manufacture. I tried to go to Home Depot and everything to find a box. There's no box big enough, so I basically had to make a monster Frankenstein box for this thing. And it honestly took like 45 minutes to an hour just to build the box for this thing, because it was massive. And I wasn't able to do it like a freight shipment because the price on it was just absurd. I was able to ship it via UPS because this was actually through the eBay International Sales Program. So I don't know if you guys sell overseas at all, but this is the International Sales Program. I've sold dozens of things around the planet at this point, and I actually really like eBay's program. You just have to basically send it to a domestic address here in the US. Packaged up, and had a little conversation with the gentleman about, you know, dropped your package off, it is on the way, so we could both track it. Obviously we're both a little nervous. I felt nervous having such a massive sale. Every time I sell something for more than $1,000, gives me a little pause because I get nervous that something could go wrong, or even if something doesn't go wrong, that they get it and they just want to return it for whatever reason when that money has basically already been reinvested at that time. All that said, I was a little nervous about it, but everything seemed to be going really well. About a week later, I get an email from eBay, and it said that the item has basically been confiscated by U.S. Customs, and eBay was going to follow up with me. So obviously, I was a little freaked out because I didn't know what to expect. This $2,300 after sales and fees and everything, it was still like 17 or 1,800 bucks that came to me. So it was obviously a lot of money. And same thing with the buyer. Like, how does this work? Am I going to have to refund this guy and lose my item? It seemed like a kind of doomsday scenario. And thankfully, the way that eBay's international shipping program works is once it gets to the destination, the warehouse destination, I've done my part. Once it got to, I don't remember if it was Kentucky or Illinois. Once it got to the eBay's warehouse, my responsibilities as a seller are over. So eBay takes it from here. They deal with all the customs declarations, the tariffs, the shipment, basically the customer service. Everything's on eBay at that point. So thankfully, that's what happened. And although the item was confiscated, basically the reason I was given was that that particular item just wasn't allowed to be sold internationally. I didn't know that. I don't think the buyer knew that. And there's no indicator in any point during the listing phase that eBay didn't, once in a while you'll get notifications when you try to list something that says, like, actually just a couple weeks ago, I listed some electronic and it said, FCC was blocking the listing because they don't allow these sales to be sold in the US or international. So I basically had to block some countries from being able to purchase the item. So none of this happened. No warnings came up, no indications that said I couldn't sell this internationally. Nothing happened. eBay's email basically said, you're covered under the EIS, the eBay International Shipping Program. So you're covered. You get to keep the sale. And they've also refunded the buyer. So it's both of us ended up being okay. It's a little frustrating because we don't know where this thing went, and it's a beautiful, beautiful item, and it would have been great for him. I know he was super excited to get it. I don't know what U.S. Customs does with it. I have no idea. Does it go back into like some system and sold again? I have no idea. Or does it go into like some warehouse in the Antarctic vault, the doom scrolling vault? I got to keep the money. Buyer was refunded, but then like a day later, I thought the drama was over. I get a negative feedback from this guy. He says, and he's writing in Spanish, so everything's being translated. Thankfully, I recently started taking some Spanish classes. So basically, he was saying that he was upset because he didn't get the item. So I wrote back to him and he was like, this is not my fault, as you know. We're both out of this deal, and I did my part. You could see the tracking, blah blah blah. He was just upset because he's really looking forward to. He's probably been looking for that particular item, and I guess that's why it's harder. Why he was excited, because maybe he's not allowed to get it shipped into Spain or whatever. I don't know what the real issue is. Anyway, that's the story. Crisis averted. Thankfully, eBay did the right thing for both of us, and so I'm super thankful. And now we're headed out into the wilds of a thrift store and an estate sale, a little 2-for-1 special, where I found some really amazing stuff that you little rascals have to see. Beverly Bootstraps Thrift Shop, one of my favorite New England thrift shops. Whenever I'm in the area, Beverly, Massachusetts, I try to stop in. Great thrift store. I don't shop books a lot. I don't look to the store shelves for books very often, but I am always keeping an eye out for Harry Potter hardbacks, specifically the hardbacks. The soft covers do have some value, but if I can find these for like $2 to $3 range, or the whole set in that $20 range, you can flip these. Even to this day, they sell really good as long as the books are in good condition. On the low end, you're looking at $60 plus shipping. If you find like first editions, you get easily over $100. Even used library sets, at library sales, you can find these for super cheap, and you can easily double, triple your money when you're buying these sets. You piecemeal them together over time. So I buy them individually, and when I get a set, I pop it on eBay. Found this Storybox book set. Don't know much about it, never heard of it. Ever After High, selling for $7. at the thrift store, which actually was a reasonable price because these were, I don't even think these were read through copies. They're actually really nice until I dropped them all over the floor. But they're selling used $35, and I'm more than doubling my $7 investment. So it's a good sale for me. Found a bunch of like sealed small board games. Then I find this CD Decca. This Decca does a lot of classical music, and I found this brand new set. Some have value, some don't. This was 50% off, so it's only $9, and selling for over 30, and I'm over doubling my money on Amazon on that one. I don't sell a lot on Amazon, but I am selling media, brand new media still when I find it. Vampire Diaries, this was also half off, paid $2.50, sells for a little over 17. After, sale, after fees and such, I'll be making about $7 on that Blu-ray. And when I'm looking through the DVD shelves, I'm looking for obscures, things that I've never heard of, sealed. This happened to be the sealed and obscure, and it was only $1. It was unmarked, so it was only $1. Sells for $21 after fees and everything. I'll be making a little over 12 on Amazon on that bad boy. I started looking at the watch section in thrift stores. It's something I passed over for many years. Never even really considered it. I don't know much. I'm not a watch connoisseur, but I'm starting to learn a little bit more. So I did find this Fossil watch here, and it had a really nice, what I liked about it, the battery wasn't working, but maybe just needed a new battery. That's what I figured. But it's a really nice leather strap, nice, cute little design. I saw it was selling in like $30 to $35 range. I picked it up for $4, and I actually sold it already. It sold for $20. I listed it under, but since it didn't have a battery, I wasn't able to test it. And it sold really fast for that $20 price point plus shipping. This bag was at an estate sale. I went on the last day of an estate sale, so everything was 75% off, $15 on this bag. I didn't recognize the brand, but I got this bag for $3.50. And it's a new thing I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for. I checked it out. I'm surprised it was here. This was a third day of a estate sale. And it's the Nomad line bento bag. And these things sell really quickly. I sold it for $150. And I'm actually really proud of this listing. That display, that presentation is just chef's kiss. Anyway, sold really fast. $3.50 turned it into a $150 sale. So that's awesome. Then these boots marked up $36, which is insane. And this is why, because they went on eBay or the internet anyway. And that's always a problem when you go to garage sales and you see people starting printing out prices to compare, and that justifies their high prices. Thankfully, I got these for 75% off that price. So, I was looking at $9 for these, and I sold them. I flipped them fast for just under $60. And it was a good sale, good estate find. Hey, I'm always learning about this business and this big, beautiful world. I hope this video brought you some value. I know you did a lot of talking, and now you can return to your normal day. And we'll see you guys out in the wilds.